Well, crushed Boko Haram terrorists have risen from the ruins and returned with a damning destruction. Farmers, aid workers, soldiers, even a state governor, almost every group of Nigerian, armed or vulnerable, have had a taste of their brutal attacks. Now, gunshots, decapitation and other indescribable killings have been the order of Nigerians' harsh realities. Now, sleep has not been present in Nigeria's northeast communities. They walk with trembling feet and don't know what the next day holds. Welcome to Village Square Africa. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. Now, for more than a decade now, Nigeria has been rocked with a heavy security upheaval. Now, villagers in Borno have claimed that the attacks were in retaliation to an intelligence given by farmers to the Nigerian Army. In 2020, like in previous years, the tears have not stopped to flow and the cries are still loud. But President Muhammadu Buhari has failed to act according to the wishes of the Nigerian people. Now, this October, Boko Haram terrorists slaughtered at least 22 farmers working on their irrigation fields near Maiduguri in northeast of the country. It was just a part of the wicked indifference showed by these terrorists. The anguish that has followed is gut-wrenching. Well, today on the show, I'm now being joined by two security consultants, retired Commodore Abimbola Ayuba. He joins me from Lagos, and also in Lagos is African Affairs analyst Lanre Suraj. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining me on VSA. Quickly, let's start with Commodore Ayuba. What can be attributed to the resurgence of high-scale terrorism in Nigeria as seen in the last incident over the weekend?
Thank you very much, Sulai. There are so many factors that have escalated these attacks. Firstly, the failure to hold terrain and safeguard areas that have been liberated in most parts of Borno by the military. The second reason is seasonal factors. It's dry season, and it makes operation smoother for these terrorists, and they are able to maneuver faster across the terrain. But primarily, a failure to deal with decisively with these terrorists, and in fact, expel them from national frontiers, have been primarily responsible for these incorrigible and dastardly acts that they've been inflicting on our people in Borno State.
From what we've seen so far, in the past we have seen that the U.S. launched successful operations against terrorists in Nigeria. Some think that it is high time, just as the Borno State governor is also saying, that they need mercenaries to help in the prosecution of this war against terror. Do you agree with him?
Well, first of all, let me commend the incredible efforts of Governor Professor Babagana Zulum for providing high-level leadership so far in the Borno imbroglio. And honestly speaking, when you've tried so many options in 11 years, you want to agree that there's need for shifting the ground and accepting that we need to have stronger hands and more daring and more competent people. And that option includes considering the usage of mercenaries. We've done that before the advent of this present administration. And of course, where you are not going to use the mercenaries, you will be thinking about really getting the right level of cooperation from neighboring states who have very, very grounded in fighting in very harsh desert environments. I think if we engage them better, we might be able to find, first of all, prevent them from willfully entering our frontiers, which is very porous, like all of us know and agree. There is need for us to try something new, which may even include declaring a total state of emergency in Borno State.
So before we come back and ask that you expatiate more on what the need will be in getting this done, let me go back to Suraj. Suraj, you are one of the voices in Nigeria leading up to the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari in his first term. You also spoke at that time, during the reign of President Jonathan. You wanted to see action done to flush out the insurgents. Are you satisfied with what you've seen so far with President Buhari?
Well, thank you, Sulaiman, for having me. And I think we can be satisfied with what we have presently. We were a bit satisfied. We were jubilant when the regime came on board back in 2015 and 2016. And the world was almost, not just Nigerians, the world was also celebrating that there was actually the clear indication and manifestation of change of God that liberated not just local governments, but also reduced the Boko Haram to just ragtag, eat and run group. But there's a clear manifestation of compliance on the part of not just the military leadership. It is also on the part of the government. We can't keep quiet and pretend that everything is okay when we can still see lives being lost. And the audacity that the Boko Haram insurgents and terrorists are also bringing back is showing that something has gone wrong. And I don't want to only just conclude that we need to change the service shape, but I also want to suspect that there are elements of sabotage within the military rank and file, which is not impossible that it becomes part of the excuses for asking for increased funding and further allocation to procure ammunition and arms. But we see some of the bills that we've seen and also some of the complaints by military officials that the morale of the military guys are also going back to pre-2015, 2016 achievement of this government. And that is very crucial.
Let me come back to Commodore Ayuba. I had a conversation with the chairman, Nigeria Senate Committee on the Army, Senator Undume. He did say that funding of the Nigerian Army is very, very poor. You were in the military. Take us through all of this from the eye of a security consultant, which you are at the moment. What are those things you think that the military lack at the moment that the country, Nigeria, has failed to provide?
Thank you very much, Sulai. Once again, it's a continuing debate. It is easily it requires a careful balancing act between guns and butter, because each time the budgetary system calls for budget proposals, you always observe that the military, even though the budget had increased considerably in the last 5 years, is not just enough, and competing with other issues, other areas of national development. But in reality, if you have a case like we have in the Northeast, there is need to take funding off budget for managing the crisis. Some of the dilemma that have caused the funding issues have been that we have not clear whether we're actually fighting a war, or is it an internal crisis? Is it an insurgency? Until we are able to really define, then we take all other aspects of construction, or all these projects, road projects, we put everything into the war economy. But that is not being done. Some areas or parts of Nigeria continue as if the war in the Northeast does not concern them. That is wrong. The whole country must sit down and have a consensus that we need to concentrate our efforts on the Northeast and probably the Northwest, and then later to the North Central. And that's how you can find the fund. People are just willing to have funds. Even as we speak, people are defending budgets. When people are dying, the entire landscape in Borno is filled with people, blood of innocent Nigerians.
Do you have an idea of what the army needs in prosecuting this war? Okay,
what the army will require a lot of sophisticated vehicles. As you know that the Borno terrain is diverse, mostly sandy and sometimes very muddy in the middle part towards the northeast part. Apart from having guns and weapons, you require to have heavy surveillance, electronic surveillance systems and drones that will watch over those areas that cannot be fully manned because of shortage of manpower. All this require a foreign exchange that beyond our capacity as the nation now contends with the problem of recession. So it means that we need to seek the support of some friends outside our shores to support us in this effort. After all, Nigeria has been a very great player in global peacekeeping operations.
I want you to wade in here now, Suraj, quickly. Now, a lot of people have been, speaking about what is happening in Nigeria. President Buhari, for the 18th time, has been urged to change the security chiefs. And now the National Assembly has also said it's going to summon the president. Are these enough reasons or move, rather, to making the nation see a change in the course of the fight against terror?
I think it is a bit challenging. I don't see, I should just move and also move Nigeria. Nigeria seems to have completely now in the recent development emerged in just, some kind of celebrated, political moves and also some kind of, high-ranking kind of information where, the president has been summoned, and then that becomes the news. We all know that the president is not likely to appear. It is not just about reducing it to this tokenism of what can actually also be sponsored by people who want to be security chiefs. And when it is made like this kind of a political campaign, it is likely that the president and some other people will be viewing it as part of the campaign from the potential beneficiaries of appointment into that office.
That's a fine place for us to continue this conversation, or drive the campaign on the broader perspective to ensuring that peace reigns in that part of Nigeria. That will be when we return after now. Welcome back to VSA here, and we have been talking about the happenings in Nigeria's northeast, where over 67 farmers have been killed over the weekend in their farmlands by one of the terror groups holding sway in that part of Nigeria, Boko Haram. And Commodore Ayuba, we also understand that there is also ISWAP, also in Nigeria, a couple of other things. Now, in driving this home, because it looks like the government has too many of the terror groups on the plate having to deal with, how can they actually get this sorted? What's the role of the traditional rulers? What's the role of the communities? How can they key in and help the military in this war?
Thank you very much, Sulai. Once again, the dialogue continues on finding lasting solutions to the conflict in the Northeast. First of all, the traditional rulers have a very big role to play. I think hitherto, their role had been relegated much to the background. But in recent times, there are now some rapprochement to bring them into working out strategies, because one, they know the terrain, and in the traditional architecture, we always have security elements in the traditional architecture, so which includes some of the hunters, and then it provides a nexus with each of the communities and the community heads. Of course, the communities know a lot of things, but whether they are ready to reveal information to people who will not be there to defend them in a reprisal is the big question. The communities that I know of, particularly these ones that are being attacked of late, are communities that have been developed the will to return to the farms with the aid of the civil defense agro rangers, who have set out for that purpose of protecting the farmers as well as the pastoralists. And of course, it still interrogates this issue of what constitutes liberation. When the army says they are liberated an area, how do the people, what do the people feel? Do they feel liberated, or it's just that the army takes the ground, flushes out these insurgents or terrorists temporarily, and then they come back in the evening when the army must have moved on to kill the people? So as we are leaving the space, policing actors have to be inserted at all costs to all the areas that have been liberated. And policing actors will not only be the Nigerian police, it will also include all other elements that can monitor. The civil defense is there. You find most of them in Abuja and other state capitals. You need to beef up their number. They have a lot of information, but then you have to systematically insert them in back to these places before the people can said to be safe.
The people. I love the aspect.
Let me just finish, please. The community people have to be helped to understand how to deal with sudden attacks, how to create safe havens for themselves, how to alert the authorities when they come under attack.
Commodore Ayuba, just let me throw this in quickly, because let me throw this in. And Suraj, this is to you. He's just told us of some of the things that the communities can actually do to help the fight against terror. And one of the things that caused the reprisal that we have seen over the killings of over 60 farmers is a result of the actions of the communities. They were able to apprehend one of the members of Boko Haram, and now almost 70 have been killed. Doesn't this put fear in such communities that we are asking to assist the military in fighting this war?
That is actually a major question. It's a very serious challenge. And I think part of the missing points, like I was trying to also drive to, in my last contribution is the aspect of an holistic approach the issue of fighting of the insurgency, beyond what I have mentioned as part of the social interventions and security engagement. It is also about the issue of the integration into the communities. The liberated areas cannot just be left open after the liberation. They're supposed to have been a very well-defined, coordinated civil engagement, both by the police, the immigration service, the security defense and civil defense and security corps, that would continuously monitor, gather intelligence, and then report back. Before, it is not just about military might, and you can have all the military might if you don't have the intelligence, and you don't have the civil integration into the process, and we would continue having this. So where is the role of the management and surveillance of our border areas? How much of intelligence has been embedded within the communities to also filter information back to the military? I think one of the most ridiculous response and statements that would be expected of any responsible government was what was said by Garba Shehu, and seeing citizens didn't get clearance to go. That is not about citizens going to get clearance as if they are going into the den of criminals. It's about the government. This was even after when there was a warning coming forward with the demand for security money for farmers to go and harvest. This is supposed to be enough warning and signal for the security personnel of this country to have taken the proactive step of ensuring that lives and properties are protected.
Let me bring in Commodore Ayuba here as we drive, home. The motivation of soldiers, nobody seems to be talking about it, especially knowing that the code, when you are in the military, you cannot, on your own, make demands of some of these things. At the moment, we have seen one of the generals in a viral who went talking about the deplorable state in a viral video being, demoted. Are they rightly motivated to face these terrorists in terms of their salaries, bonuses, and other, motivations?
Thank you, Sulai. I think, to be fair, this administration has actually been the fairest. Looking through my length and wealth of experience in the military, has done so much to improve the welfare of soldiers, including those ones in the field. What I think is lacking beyond the financial aspects of motivation are those of psychological motivation, and that means that when you are able to increase the number of boots on the ground, some of these soldiers who are battle weary can actually have time for rest and recuperation, because these are some of the major human aspects of the problems in the Northeast. Because the troops are not enough. Some of them they have overstayed in that theater, and some of them are already developing PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders, inadvertently. But if they're able to get leave and then get out of terrain, they are rotated and then replaced, you may be able to fight soldiers that can fight. Most of the time, the challenge is that even when you pay these troops in deep in combat, what would they do with the money? So it's necessary now for government to actually make sure that we decide whether we are fighting a war or we are just having an internal security crisis.
Quickly, is Nigeria at war with Boko Haram?
Is that question for me?
Certainly. You're the military officer now.
Okay. What we are actually fighting is a war. against terrorists. Now, the thing is that the fighting war against terrorists is quite demanding. And if you go into the history of terrorism and war against terror, it's been difficult using this approach to end terrorism. Most of the time, you just have to move away to try to find the people who are behind this terror. What do they want? Who are they? Can they be negotiated with? Can they resolve the issues? And if they will discover that they are being powered from outside our shores, then we have to deal decisively with them. We know that we are fighting enemies of the nation who are probably looking for extra territory or want to decimate Nigeria as a leading power so that they can have more influence in that region. So as simple as that, we are fighting a war and we have to deal with it as if we are fighting a war and not to be having governors and all this. You have to declare state of emergency and drive a war economy. That is the total solution with the support of all our enemies, our friendly countries, and their sincere contributions. We should be able to push these people out, defeat them decisively, and then the reconstruction and rehabilitation and resettlement aspects can be done easily. Otherwise, you keep building and these guys destroy and burn, and then something is going down the drain. Why continue rebuilding?
For you, Suraj,
to destroy them.
And for you, Suraj, how can Nigeria get out of this this mess?
Nigeria would really need to start the process. We have not really taken this as a serious national and international issue of making the war against insurgency a national war that has to be fought not by the government, but everybody and every citizen. I know the civilian JTF did tremendous work in actually assisting the military to also defeat Boko Haram in that end. We have the banditry that is already taking another new dimension coming from the northeast and also spreading to don't want it to say northeastern crisis or war that would have to fizzle out over time or that will remain in that area. We have kidnapping also going on in the south, and we also have armed robbery and the rest of that. Even cultism is a new dimension. These are one of the greatest level of insecurity that would feed economic and social development in any country. So we need to say it as a major national issue that requires the formulation of policies and programs that would be embracing enough, including the local governments, including the state governments, and including the federal government, the non-state actors, to be the process of formulation and also implementation of an holistic program that would place it at the highest level of the country.
It's a fine place for us to say many thanks for being such a nice company. Retired Commodore Abimbola Ayuba and Lanre Suraj. Obviously, as feelers from the streets of Nigeria can suggest, the citizenry has grown tired of the situation of things, and only a defeat of insecurity and the crushing of terrorism can restore Nigerians' flailing hopes in their government. Well, it's our anchor point for us today on the show. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can watch us live at newscentraltv.africa and on YouTube at youtube.com/newscentraltv. I'm Sulaiman. See you again.